Good day, everyone. Today, our group will be representing question number two, which is how does social identity theory inform our understanding of group decision making? Our selected case study is the transboundary haze pollution in Southeast Asia based on the research article by Yusuf. My name is Kumaran Nathan, and I will be presenting the abstract and introduction of this study. For the abstract, the main purpose of this paper is to apply social identity theory to explain how national identity and group belonging influence decision making among Asian countries during the transboundary AIDS crisis. The study focused on how the collective identity of member states such as Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore shape their attitude and response when addressing this environmental issue. Despite the assistance of cooperative framework like the Asian Agreement on Transboundary Air Pollution, the, pers- the persistence of the problem indicate that group dynamics and national self-interest often override regional unity. By examining this issue through the lens of social identity theory, the paper highlights how in group and how group thinking affect communication, trust, and ultimately collective decision making with Asian countries. For the introduction, the transboundary air pollution in Southeast Asia has been a long-standing regional issue that affects countries such as Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, and Brunei. This environmental problem is primarily caused by large-scale forest and peatland fire in Indonesia, often resulting from slash and burn agricultural practice used to clear land or palm oil and timber plantation. The effect of these fires are far-reaching. The air spread across border, leading to serious health problem, environmental degradation, and economic disruption. Air quality drops, schools are forced to close, and millions of people are exposed to harmful pollutant every year. Although Asian members stated that signed the Asian Agreement on Transboundary Air Pollution in 2002, cooperation among countries remained weak and inconsistent. For example, Indonesia only rectified the agreement in 2014, showing the challenges in achieving collective action. This lack of effective cooperation cannot be attributed to political or environmental factors alone. It also involves psychological and social elements, particularly the influence of national identity and group perception. This is where social identity theory becomes relevant. SIT suggests that people define themselves based on their group membership, which can lead to an us versus them mentality. In this content, Indonesia often feel unfairly blamed to the A's, while Malaysia and Singapore see themselves as a victim. These contrasting group identities create tension that either genuine collaboration and make joint decision more difficult. Therefore, the introduction of social identity theory helps us understand how group identity and belongings influence decision making at the Asian level and why achieving regional cooperation on the ACE issue has been challenging. Thank you.
Thank you, Kumaran. Next will be myself. My name is Tivendra. So I'll be presenting a literature review. So basically, for my part, I'll be focusing on the literature review section, which highlight what previous research has found about the transboundary haze issue and how it relates to Asians group decision making. First, early studies mainly focus on environmental cause of haze. For example, Peter et al. In 2013 identified agricultural burning and biomass as a key sources of air pollution across Southeast Asia. This shows that much of the early research explained the haze from a physical or environmental perspective rather than exploring how countries actually make collective decisions. Next, in the area of political and institutional studies, Kim 2011 discussed that Asian way, a regional culture of consensus, politeness, and non-interference. This approach maintains harmony among members of states, but it also constrains decision making because tend to avoid confrontation, criticism. Then under then under group decision making studies, Lee et al. 2016 found that Indonesia's late rectification of the Hays Agreement was tolerated by the other Asian members to preserve regional harmony. This reflects in group identity and conformity, where maintaining relationship becomes more important than solving problem directly. So yeah, finally, the research gap shows that while many studies discuss environmental and political factor, they often overlook the psychological explanation behind Asian collective behavior. This is where social identity theory or SIG becomes valuable. It helps explain how a shared group identity within Asian influences their decision-making style, leading to conformity, cautiousness, and sometimes groupthink. So that's all from my part. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Shu En. My side is the methodology and the result. And the methodology, this study is a review research, which means the author did not collect the new data by themselves. Instead, they read and combine information from many resources such as the government report, scientific journal, Asian record and agreement. They use both qualitative and quantitative data for these sources to understand the cause of haze, its effect, and how different countries have tried to solve it. The study mainly focused on three countries: Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore, and because these are the countries most affected by the haze every year. The author also compared the Southeast Asia haze problem with the other haze events around the world, even around the world, to see the similar and the differences. And the result, the devastation and the land burning in the Indonesia. Farmer and plantation company burns forests to clean land cheaply, especially for the plant oil and agriculture. And every year, Indonesia lost around 1.9 million hectares for forests, like around 2% of its total forest area. And the forest fire and the peatland burning, this fire released huge amount of the smoke and fine particles into the air, creating thick haze that travel around across border. A weather factor, na- natural weather pattern like El Nino and Indian Ocean depot make a dry season longer and hotter, which make the fire spread faster and harder to control. And weak regional cooperation, although the Asian countries signaled the Asian Agreement on the Transboundary Haze Pollution in 2002, and progress is slow because of Asians is non-interference rules, meaning countries cannot force each other to take stronger action. That the economic interests, many companies that cause deforestation are linked to the economic growth, especially in the plant oil and the timber industry, which make the problem more complicated. Okay, from my side is done. Thank you.
So, bring discussion, limitation, conclusion, and the real world application to the case study. And discussion, the legal structure and satellite monitoring is available in preventing transboundary haze pollution. In order to execute the implementation, institutional barriers is a significant cost. The Asian way concept illustrates in wanting to keep good relationships with nations without confronting them. In conclusion, case study confirms that it is not an environmental problem, therefore it relates to the social and political issue. Accountability and mutual trust among nations is particularly in maintaining good relationship. The limitation in this case study, therefore there aren't any collection of data or research made in the article as the information comes from a secondary source. The real world application, group loyalty, Singapore and Malaysia avoided to confront with Indonesia as it's their government problem in handling their issue. For our group perception, Indonesia is classified as culprit by neighboring country as not taking measures to control the situation. They divide themselves as us versus them. For the consensus culture, it can be seen when the Asian way wanting to maintain peace rather than confronting the doer. For outcome, problem remain technical as group identity plays a decision significant role in decision making. Thank you.